What's up? What's up? After a unexpected delay due to circumstances beyond my control, anyway, we'd like to welcome you to this final edition of AU Tuesday, which is taking place on a Wednesday. Don't ask me. I'll explain the situation in just a few moments. My name is Victor Anderson. Hopefully everyone can hear me. If you're in the chat watching us on YouTube, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Let me know we are rocking and rolling with you. Of course, follow us on social media at In the Circle SB on Twitter /X, on Facebook. Follow us on D1 Softball. Follow AUProSports.com on all social platforms. Out AU Pro Softball as well. Tonight continues the celebration and the coronation of our colleague, the champion of season 5, the one and only, the great Mandy softball, Amanda Lorenz. Let us all pay homage. Thank you. Now, coming up at 8:15, so in about 13 minutes from now, we got a very special surprise for all of you watching us right now. And that's going to lead into a bigger surprise coming up at the end of the show. So again, stay tuned for all of that. But before we sing the praises or continue to sing the praises of the man of Lorenz, we're going to recap some of the big highlights on the final week of Rosemont Champion Season 5 Athletes Limited. We're going to pay our homage to the 6 young women who will be stepping away from pro softball at the end after the season. And from what I have been told, Eric Lopez is going to show up and he's going to brag about the fact that down goes Anderson! Down goes Anderson! Yeah, that part. I'm not looking forward to that. So that might happen later on tonight. When or if he does show up, we don't know. But before we get into all of that and before we get to our surprise in 10 minutes, let's talk about some of the notable awards that were given out. First, the Athletes Unlimited All-Defensive Team. And I mean, if you were watching all summer long in Rosemont, you're not really surprised at the names on the list. Alicia Ocasio, Erin Koffel, Sasha Palacios wrapping up her pro career in phenomenal fashion. Infielders, Bailey Klingler, Tori Vidalis in the corners, Aubrey Leach and Overliable, Hannah Flippin in the middle, Haley McClenny, Aaliyah Andrews, your defensive MVP, and Bubba Nichols rounding out the all-defensive team outfield for Athletes Unlimited. And if you watched any of the games in Rosemont, but if you didn't, I don't know what the heck's wrong with you. You shouldn't be surprised at the names on this list, particularly Alicia Ocasio, who came out of the back the last few weeks to contend to become the first player ever to win Athletes Unlimited in multiple seasons. She now has the distinction of being one of 2 players to finish in Athletes Unlimited top 3 in more than multiple seasons. The other one being Alyssa Denham, who finished second of back-to-back seasons. We'll talk about Alyssa Denham a little bit more in just a moment. Also, one of my biggest takeaways from this past season in Athletes Unlimited was the rookies. They showed up and they showed out. And the leaderboard is an indication of that, ladies and gentlemen. Lexi Kilfoyle, who was battling along with Amanda Lorenz at the top of the leaderboard all year long. She not only finishes second, but wins Rookie of the Year. But it was a very nip-and-tuck race during the middle weeks of the season. Skylar Wallace made a push during weeks 3 and 4, was a captain during the middle of the season. She finishes 6th. And how about Erin Koppel, the goal line with an all-defensive team honor? She finishes 8th in her rookie season of Athletes Unlimited. A remarkable showing by those 3 young women in their debut seasons. We also saw some highlights from Kayla Kowalik as well. Valerie Cagle had a strong showing in her rookie year at the championship season. But it was all about Amanda Lorenz and what she was able to do getting to that championship. Let's take a full look at this leaderboard. See, Amanda Lorenz finishing first, Lexi Kilfoyle second, Alicia Ocasio third, Georgina Corrick, who had to come from behind the final day of the season, got some help from Morgan Zirkle to finish in the top four. She finished fourth. Tori Vidalis, who was at the top four until the seventh inning of the final game, where Georgina Corrick came in, got the final three outs, and preserved herself a top four finish. If you listen to Eric Collins, the great Eric Collins, on Sunday evening, you heard him break it down moment by moment and what his strategy would have been in that particular situation. Skylar Wallace finishing sixth. How about Kelsey Harshman? A strong year for her. She finishes seventh. Erin Koppel. Sydney Romero finishes ninth. Sasha Palacios rounds up the top 10. And Delaney Wiz comes in at number 11. Now, if we look a little deeper into the numbers, and we're going to do that a lot more when we talk about Amanda Lorenz. By the way, for those of you who are just joining us, coming up at 8:15, I got a special treat for those of you who are watching us right now on AU Tuesday on a Wednesday. So it's kind of like Overreaction Monday on a Tuesday, but you get the whole point. Let's take a look at the final MVP points. And one of the many reasons why Lexi Kilfoyle was able to finish where she finished was she led Athletes Unlimited with 300 MVP points. Georgina Corrick was number 2, followed by Bubba Nichols. Taylor McQuillan had a strong start to the season, kind of tapered off at the end, but she finished with 160 MVP points, along with Nichols, Sasha Palacios. There you see your champion, Amanda Lorenz, Bailey Klingler, Megan Faramo, Morgan Zirkle. She had a nice, strong 2 weeks to wrap up the season. She had the walk-off hit during week 4 action. Ironically enough, after I interviewed her and in the circle, we're actually going to release that video at some point this week. And she hit a grand slam to propel Team Corrick to a 9-1 win over Team Lorenz in the final game of the season on Sunday afternoon. That not only gave Zirkle MVP 1 honors, but set the stage for Queen George to come in the 7th, get the final 3 outs, and get herself to a top 4 medalist position, and Alicia Ocasio rounding out the top 10. You're not really surprised at Lexi Kilfoyle because think about this: 300 MVP points. I want to put that number in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. When Kat Osterman won Athletes Unlimited back in 2020, she had 400 MVP points. Alicia Ocasio, when she won Athletes Unlimited the next year, she had 320 points. Now, let's look at stat points because Lexi Kilfoyle led that as well. 514 stat points. Lexi Kilfoyle became the 3rd player in Athletes Unlimited history in the championship season to lead both in stat points and in MVP points. The other 2 being the 2 women I just mentioned, Kat Osterman in 2020, Alicia Ocasio in 2021, in their AU championship winning seasons. So it tells you, ladies and gentlemen, as I reemerge from the background, it gives you an understanding of what Lexi Kilfoyle was able to do to be in that position to challenge Amanda Lorenz, because they were pretty much from after week 1 forward, there was not a week of Athletes Unlimited where both Amanda Lorenz and Lexi Kilfoyle weren't at least one of them, if not both of them, were captains. It shows you what kind of an impact she had on her team, both as an individual and what her picking as a captain had collectively on her team results as well. What separated Amanda Lorenz from everyone else, and we'll highlight this more later on, was her ability to not only galvanize the her team around her, playing for her to win the championship, but selecting players that worked well and complemented each other very well. If you break down Team Lorenz's roster week by week by week, if she was able to pick the same players, that same core players, she was able to keep them on their roster. That's why you saw Kelsey Harshman's numbers be as high as they were. Let's take a look one more time on the leaderboard. That's why you see Kelsey Harshman finishing 7th, because more often than not, she was on Team Lorenz, and she was the benefactor of being on Team Lorenz, picking up those win points. I'll give you a fascinating look at that in about at the bottom of the hour or so, because trust me, I got to, as you know what, I love y'all so much. We're just going to give y'all the news right now. Can I get the trumpets, please? All right, folks. Big time announcement coming up. Earlier today, as of about 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 12 noon Central Time, fresh off returning back from Rosemont, our pal, our champion at D1 softball, Amanda Lorenz, had a chance to catch up with our very own Eric Lopez to recap her season in Rosemont and much, much more. What we're going to do for you right now, here in this Wednesday edition of AU Tuesday, is we are going to play for you a portion of that conversation that Amanda Lorenz had with Eric Lopez. So we're going to share some of that with you right now, and then we're going to come back, break down more of the numbers that led Amanda Lorenz to the championship, and we may have another little fun surprise for y'all. So hope you enjoyed this conversation Eric Lopez had with your champion of Athletes Unlimited, the one and only Mandy Softball.
I would pick you because I remember covering you. It was a shocking developing story when you didn't get on base somehow. So it's a compliment to you, and you're arguably, I think, in the conversation for best hitter in the world. How do you stay at that elite of a level in a sport, as you know, can humble you that easily?
Yeah, I think just staying focused and staying bought into my process and what has gotten me here, like not straying away from that. Like I'm a huge tea person, so every day at AU, like I start my day on the tee, and doesn't matter if I was at Florida or with Team USA or here, like I really take pride in my process and trying to buy into that and having my certain resets. So I think just staying within myself, but also like I'm really competitive. Like I love to compete. I love getting in the box, like me versus the pitcher. Like I love that. So I think like just that competitive fire staying in me, and then just staying true to myself and what makes me good.
You have a passion for offense. You have a passion for hitting. If people that watch, obviously listen to D1 Softball Podcast all year can pick up on that because you love talking offense there with Jenna Becerra there. Where did that passion for the offense come from as you were growing up?
I'm not sure. I think I've said before, like, I think God made me to be a softball player. Like, and I take a lot of pride in that. Like, a lot of times we get on, which I think is great. Like, I'm not defined by my sport. Like, I'm much more than that, but I really feel like I am totally identified by being a softball player. Like, and I'm totally okay with that. Like, I think I only have positives that come out of that. But really from a really young age, like I was taking hitting lessons from, Megan Stotts, who played at Arizona, formerly known as Megan Finnerty. So I had just someone who like played at the highest level that I had someone to look up to and teach me the correct things. So fell in love with hitting really early on and loved learning and loved the process. Like I've always loved practice. So I think that definitely helps when you love your work ethic and you love getting after it, it helps the performance piece too.
How, you've accomplished so much. How do you get better every year? How do you say, okay, I could do this better from a hitting standpoint, just from being an overall player every year?
I think just learning from others. I think that AU is like the best part of that because we don't have coaches. So it's all like we're just learning from each other and learning how to compete. And the pitchers are so good that like sometimes you can't just rely on what you do. You have to make certain adjustments before even going into the box. So learning from my fellow hitters, like their approaches off of certain pitchers and seeing like what can I do different to make sure that I'm not having to make this adjustment after already going 0 for 2. Like I'm going into the first inning already having an adjustment to make off of Kat Osterman. Like I know what I'm trying to do and I'm not going to let her get me out 3 times before I'm frustrated and try to do something different. So I think just learning from others and their approach and learning, and like in college, I like made pitchers like they have to earn the respect for me then to make adjustments. Like I want to rely on me first. And then if they get me out the same way and I'm unable to adjust, then like I'm going to need to make an adjustment. And I think in the pro level, like you have to be ready to adjust right away, especially the athletes in limited space. It's so quick. The season goes by so fast. And obviously every at bat really matters. So I think like that was a huge thing for me, like coming in, being ready to go and ready to make adjustments right away.
Tim Walton told me you were somebody that watched film. You loved film. You like to study mechanics and your techniques. How big is that part of your success, preparation, just confidence overall?
I think it's more of an organic piece. Like I didn't actively like go in college and watch film. Like I was just always watching softball. So it wasn't like when we would throw up film in a team space of like watching a certain pitcher, I had already watched her throw X amount of games because I'm like always glued to the TV when there's softball on, like I'm gonna watch it. So I think like I'm always watching softball and obviously taking mental notes along the way. But I think like just because I love the game, it's always like organically on that I love like paying attention. So I always have like I know things, certain pitchers and just what they like to do. And then just watching myself, I like to watch film. I love it there, like catch all the good swings. And then when it's not going well, I can compare my bad swings to my good swings. So I love like going back to making sure that I'm comparing to when I was really good, not just looking at swings when I'm bad, because if I don't feel great, then that something has to be off. So I have to compare it to some good too.
A lot of people enjoy watching you hit. I remember I would broadcast games with Francesca Anea, who you know very well, and I would tell her, well, which gate, you're probably the best gator hitter ever. And she stops me right now. No, it's Amanda Lorenz. I would watch you to play, right? And things like that. I'm curious, who do you enjoy watching hit?
Oh gosh. I love watching Bubba Nichols hit. Um, who else? Bubba is so good. And what she's so good at like not letting the next pitch bleed into like the current pitch bleeding into the next pitch. Like I can get frustrated over certain things and it will like I'll carry it with me the next pitch. A bad call or a bad swing, she's so good at like onto the next pitch and flushing things. Like I love that from like I learn a lot from her every time I watch her hit because I can do a way better job at like managing that and moving on to the next pitch, not letting it affect that. Love watching her hit. I think that Sydney Romero is like one of the best at adjusting to different speeds. I think it's almost like pitchers don't even want to throw her a changeup because they know like she's just so good at seeing the ball and like capitalizing on it. Gosh, Vic Hayward had a really good season this year. She was fun to watch too. Just she has so many tools. So to see her like be able to slap, bunt, and then also hit with a little bit of power. She hit it over some outfielders' heads a few times. That was really fun. But yeah, those are some just from this season that I enjoyed a lot.
It sounds like you enjoy the camaraderie and getting to know some of these players that maybe you've competed against in the past in various levels. Now you get to know them as people, but also get to see them up close and see what makes them so great and maybe pick their brain a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like it's so fun. Like I really remember my first year on the Pride. So in 2019, fresh off college and I'm in the dugout with so many elite hitters and Jesse Warren and Alex Powers, they're hitting on the tee with me and they're asking like what my plan is when I go up to hit, like what am I going to do? And I was like, I'm going to see ball, hit ball. Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't have like, and they were like, wait, you don't like go in like attacking a certain pitch or like attacking a certain side of the plate. And I was like, no, like I'm really bad at that. And they were like, oh my gosh, like we are exactly the opposite. Like we need to go in with a super specific plan, or else it's like nowhere near close to like what I wanted to do. And I'm like, that's so interesting. I think that was when I started to really understand like how many different ways that you can be a really, really good hitter. And it's so cool to like learn from others and their plans and what they're trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish, what they need to set their swing for the day. Like you'll have people go in and hit off live and they're just really trying to spray oppo, like they're hitting it foul balls almost, like just really trying to get their swing set. So I love paying attention to those little things and seeing how I can incorporate them to my game and see if it's something that will work for me or something that won't work. Like that's cool too. But I just love like the how everyone can do something different and still be such an elite hitter.
That's true. I've teased Alex Powers about this because she's complimented you and talked about seeing you play and playing with you. I'm like, aren't you Seminoles gators? You're supposed to hate each other, right? That's the whole purpose. What are you all getting along here? I was just teasing there.
Oh my God, it's so crazy. Totally. But then in my pro career, like some of my favorite teammates have been Seminoles. Like I have they've been great people, great friends, like elite teammates. Like Kat Sandercock is my girl. Like I love Kat. She was like my must-have on my teams. Like each week when I was drafting, like I wanted Kat on my team. Like she was just so great. So there is supposed to be some hatred there, but like I love them and I have so much respect for their program. And I also love how every single girl that comes out of there, they love Kocha and just have the best things to say about their program. So obviously someone that loves my program with all my heart, like I want everyone to have that experience. So I think that's really cool.
Well, you both have comments now that you both play for now NFCA Hall of Fame coaches. Lonnie was inducted last December. Coach Walton's going to be inducted this December. We'll get to him in a little bit. But part of that, too, is, hey, you were a captain this year as a result, many a times. Describe that experience now, being a captain and having to pick your team.
Yeah, I think that picking the team was the easy part. I had like some of my people that I knew, like, I really trust them and want them on my team. And then also, it moves so fast that you have a list and you have a plan and it quickly gets like you have to throw away that plan because people are going to pick your people. Like everyone is smart, right? But I think that the different spot was like now, like in games, I'll get really frustrated and mad, like if we lose an inning or if we lose. And I'm like, now it was met with like, I'm also really sad that that like a plan didn't work. Like I'm sad because it feels like I let my whole team down. Like I had this certain plan. And so it wasn't just I'm just pissed and competitive. It's like also I'm upset because that means I set up my team for failure and I didn't have the best plan or lead us in the best direction. So I think that was the difference. Like it was going to be met with a little bit more emotion if the plan didn't work. And then just like more pressure to make sure like I'm going to have these decisions and I'm going to stand by them. Like I'm going to follow my gut. I'm going to stand by my decision and like let it roll. And it was definitely different. And I was scared of the captain role the last couple of years. I was like, the goal is just to be fifth, like be fifth the whole season. If I can just hang at the top and not actually have to be a captain, like that's ideal. And then this year I was like, okay, I was really nervous for this second week. I was a captain. I was like, okay, I'm going to be really nervous and then I'm going to lean in, like I'm going to see how good I can be at it. And I really liked it. I was like, okay, this is fun. Like I'm learning a lot. I'm like getting to like figure out like, I've always thought like, I think I'm a good leader. But that's like, you don't have anyone to lean on, like you are the leader. So like, how are you really going to lead these people and create a good environment? So I was like, this was good to like put my money where my mouth is and like figure it out and see how good I can be. It was really fun. And then it was like, during the middle of one of the weekends, this third week, we went 1-2 and I was like, ooh, like, dang, I might not be a captain this week. Ended up being the gold captain somehow, but I was like, might not be a captain. And I was like, dang, like, I think I want to be a captain. Like, it's fun being in control of who's on my team, being in control of the lineup, being in control of the plan. Like, it definitely feels like I have more ownership in my season for sure, but learned a ton and definitely tried to be better every week. But it was just a really cool experience.
Did because you spent some time after you're done playing at Florida, you were on the staff as a volunteer and everything. Did that help you? Did you kind of lean on that as you went the captain route, or is it completely a different animal?
I think it's a completely different animal because I was involved in a lot of like hitting talks and defense talks and things like that. I was never involved in pitching talks and like how to manage a pitching staff. So I leaned on the pitchers a ton, leaned on the catchers a ton of just like feedback. And I've always loved like the way that Florida State runs their pitching staff of like just sharing innings. And, Kat definitely had that closing role a lot at Florida State. And so when I had her on my team, I was like, hey, like these are my thoughts, but what are your thoughts? And she's like, hey, I think I'm always a closer here. Like I want to start a game. She's like, obviously I trust you, whatever you do sounds good, but like, I'd love the opportunity to start one of the games this week. And I was like, amazing. Like I had so much like dialogue with my pitchers because I wanted to make sure that they were like took a little ownership of their process as well. Like they, if someone told me like, I really want to start against purple, like I know that I'm going to own them for 4 innings, like give me the ball. Then like, I was like, yes, fire me up. Like, of course you can have the ball. So I tried to have a lot of conversations because I was like, you guys know way more about you than me. I know like certain hitters and what they like to hit, but you guys know that too. So what do you want? Like, how can I best set you up for success? So really leaned on them a ton. And I had just great pitchers that loved, like totally bought into the team mentality and sharing innings and being willing to go every game. If that meant like they're only throwing 3 innings a game, but they're going to throw every game. So they were really great. They like were really patient with me when like, I was like, I hope you blow up my plan. If you're throwing a no hitter, trust me, I'm not taking you out. Like, I hope you blow it up. But so they were just really great. Kat ended up starting a game and came in to close that same game, and just little things like that was really fun of just like being like when they wanted something, I'm like, yes, I trust you. Like, let's roll with it. And like them feeling that and being able to be bought in was really fun.
I could tell. Who was your go-to person to keep track of where you were set as far as the standings, what you needed to do? Did you have, because I had Bubba Nichols on when she won AUX, and she said she leaned on her, she told her facility person, like, you tell me every situation, update me on everything, and she would update her and everything like that. It was a tight race, so every situation. Did you go that approach or what, or no?
No, not at all. Like, I just wanted us to win. Like, the last 2 seasons, so 2022 and 2023, I was on Alyssa Denham's team to close out the season, and I went 3-0, but with both times with her. So like, she brought me to the promised land. I got on her team, and we got a lot of win points, and that made me shoot up the leaderboard. So that's all I cared about, was like, I want to go 3-0 to help my team win and help them shoot up the leaderboard. I ended up going 2-1, so that kind of sucked, but that was really all I was consumed with, is like, how can I help my team win and help them gain more points, get them up the leaderboard, so in turn they can make more money. But that's all I was concerned about. But also I think I had a little bit of a good idea heading into that last game, because the people behind me were in that blue versus purple game. So had a little bit of sense of that, but for the most part, I was just so like, I just want to help my team win, and I want us to win. That's really all I was concerned.
Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is just a small sampling of Eric's nearly hour-long conversation with Amanda Lorenz. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would you air an interview Elo had with Mandy softball earlier today? Well, that leads me to announcement number 2.
The champ is here! The champ is here! The champ is here!
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, debuting tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the Inner Circle YouTube channel. You can watch the full conversation Eric had with Amanda Lorenz, your Athletes Unlimited champion. So after you're done watching AU Tuesday on a Wednesday, go on our YouTube channel, watch Eric's interview with Amanda Lorenz, and if for whatever reason you cannot watch the interview You can listen to our interview with Amanda Lorenz tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. on the latest edition of In the Circle on T1 Softball. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we make sure we take care of our people. Well, yes, you'll get to watch and hear the full interview Eric had with Amanda Lorenz tomorrow and tonight on wherever you live on our In the Circle network.
The champ is here.
So now that we've gotten the announcements out of the way, just got a little appetizer of what you can expect from Eric's conversation with Mandy Softball tomorrow. Let's really get into the weeds of what happened here. So Amanda referenced in that last part of that interview how she was a part of Team Denim the last 2 seasons and how her teams, those teams, Team Denim went 3-0, and how she racked up the win points and rocketed up the leaderboard. As you take a look at the Games 1 leaderboard, you see a lot of these names spent time at some point of this season with Team Lorenz, with the exception of Sasha Palacios, Kelsey Stewart-Hunter, of course, Amanda Lorenz, Valerie Cagle, Sarah Willis, who had a strong rookie season, Victoria Hayward, Kelsey Harshman, as I've referenced. 1, 2, 3, 4 of the top 10 in win points based on Games 1 all played for Team Lorenz on the final week of the season or in multiple weeks with Team Lorenz during the 2024 season. So when Athletes Unlimited says every play counts and every play matters, that is exactly what they mean. Now let's get a little deeper into the numbers. Innings won. Looky who's at the top of that leaderboard. Amanda Lorenz, 750 points just by innings won alone. And then Kelsey Harshman, Alicia Ocasio with 700, Mackenzie Clark, 660, along with Tori Vidalis, Delaney Wiz, Jordan Roberts, 640, Erica Piacastelli, who is now the all-time home run queen in Athletes Unlimited. She also has 640 with Kat Sandercock, who's now the career saves leader, and Kelsey Stewart-Hunter. So, if you want an understanding of why Kelsey Harshman finished 7th in Athletes Unlimited this season, you only have to look at 2 numbers. Innings won and games won. So if you look at Kelsey Harshman's numbers for the season, she ended up with 1,468 points. 1,200 of those points came because she was on teams that won innings and won games. It all adds up. It all adds up, ladies and gentlemen. And if you take a look at, again, and you look at why Lexi Kilfoyle was where she was number 1 in MVP points with 300, number 1 in stat points with 514. So Kilfoyle's numbers pretty, I don't want to say pretty even, slight edge to win points compared to stat and MVP points. Well, look at Georgina Corrick. 1,050 win points, 490 points between stat point and MVP points. Bubba Nichols, you look at her, 180 MVP points. Of course, Bubba Nichols, the champion of AUX, who Eric and I also talked to after she won AUX, which you can watch that interview on our In the Circle YouTube channel. Taylor McQuillan, Sancho Palacios, Amanda Lorenz, the litany goes on and on and on. But, of course, so we talk about those who succeeded on the field. We have to talk about and recognize those who left the field for the final time. 6 players announced that they will be retiring from pro softball. The ones we already knew going into the last couple of weeks were Haley McClenny, Sam Fisher, and Sasha Palacios. 3 more names were added within the last week. When Zvekis announced her retirement last Wednesday, and then we had 2 come pop up over the weekend. One of them being Alyssa Denham, the other being Peyton St. George. Alyssa Denham, myself personally, is one of my favorite players at Athletes Unlimited. I interviewed her in 2022. Of course, that was the back and forth race between herself and fellow Wildcat Deja Mulipolo. Went down to the final, Deja's final at bat of the season. Game got delayed due to weather. Fans got to move down in the stands, and Deja hit an absolute tank. Eric Collins nearly lost his mind. If you watch the call on replay, you can understand why. And I talked to Alyssa. She was so proud of what the work that she did coming in, and again, coming on the outside, coming oh so close to taking home that championship and having that family support there with her to finish second in 2022, and then almost do it again in 2023, falling just short of Odyssey Alexander in her record-setting year. And I think Alyssa definitely deserves her flowers. She posted on social media some of the ailments that she had to go through during the season. So we wish Alyssa all the very best. Sasha Palacios getting to play with her sister, be teammates with her sister one final time before she got to ride up in the sunset. Payne St. George also announced that she was stepping away from pro softball. One of the matriarchs of the Duke softball program, building up to what they eventually got to this year in Oklahoma City, making it to the Women's College World Series under the stewardship of Coach Marissa Young. So I'm sure PSG will have a tremendous next chapter wherever it will be outside of the game of pro softball. And of course, we can't understate the work that Gwen Zvekis, Haley McClenny, Sam Fisher, all of them have done both individually and collectively. Gwen had been a longtime member, not just of Athletes Unlimited, but of the PEC for very, very many seasons, and the work that they've done behind the scenes to make the experience for Athletes Unlimited one of the top experiences for any professional league, and really giving more credence to the term player empowerment. So we wish all of those ladies well in the next chapters of their career. So that is going to wrap things up tonight for Athletes Unlimited Tuesday on a Wednesday. To be perfectly honest with you, this is an idea that kind of came up last minute. They said, hey, let's talk about AU Tuesday nights, kind of give our thoughts and opinions on things, and kind of chop it up, catch up with all of you. Thankfully, at least for me anyway, Eric Lopez is electing not to come on the show and brag about what happened. But since he did beat me in fantasy, I do have to play this one last time. So as much as I hate to do this, let's play the clip.
Down goes Anderson! Down goes Anderson!
Just speak of the devil himself. Good evening, Mr. Lopez. You're live on AU Tuesday on a Wednesday. What would you like to say to the people?
Well, I just wanted to say, Vic, how's things going, Vic?
I hate you. I hate you so much right now. Can I say it on the live podcast? Can I say it on the live stream? I think I just did.
I have a message for you from one John Moxley. Are you familiar with the work of Mr. John Moxley?
Yes. For the sake of those watching the show, I am familiar with the work of John Moxley. Yes.
I don't want to brag, but I beat Vic so bad at AU Fantasy that John Moxley has declared that, Vic, this is no longer your company.
What?
Your show.
What?
That's what he said. I'm actually quoting what he said tonight, that was the message he declared. I don't know. Everybody's trying to figure out what that means. I think it was a clear jab at you for performance. Now, in my defense, in your defense, I mean, I took Amanda Lorenz. I mean, that's who was the champion.
Yeah, we are showing the rosters right now, ladies and gentlemen. And honestly, it was over after week 2. So it kind of felt like it wasn't if you were going to win, but how badly you were going to beat me by. But looking at the final score, I I am pleasantly surprised that I kept it as close as I did, giving all factors.
You're saying you were so far behind that you couldn't see me, obviously with a hand gesture, because the champ is here.
Yes, we did, and we did announce, Mr. Lopez, that we will be hearing more from the champ, not only on tomorrow's episode of In the Circle, but for those of you who subscribe to our YouTube channel, you will get to watch that interview in about 19 minutes from now. So after we're done here, get yourself your dinner, or if you already had your dinner, get your nice little post-dinner snack and get ready to enjoy the interview Eric had with our champion and our colleague, Amanda Lorenz, on our YouTube channel. Or if you have to go to bed, like you youngsters have to, you can wait till tomorrow where you can listen to the interview in podcast form.
Let's talk about our rosters and how we how they ended up fair. We could give some commentary.
Yes.
Each one, Lorenz, you mentioned will be on the show. Obviously, it was fantastic. Second best non-pitcher to win the Athletes Unlimited. Deja Mulapula being the other to do that, to say the least. I had Lexi Kilfoyle, Victor. That was a key pick, the rookie pitcher.
It was. Ends
up second and won Rookie of the Year in Athletes Unlimited.
Well, and I wasn't really surprised after the opening week that Lexi Kilfoyle had, winning MVP 1 honors and MVP 3 honors during her first 2 appearances. That kind of set the tone, not just for your team in winning our fantasy matchup, but for Kilfoyle to be right there in the top 5 all season long and kind of nipping at Mandy softball's heels for the final few weeks of the season.
Yeah, no question about that. Keep breaking down the rest of the roster.
Yeah, of course, Sarah Willis, your girl from UCF. I thought it was a homer pick, but turns out very well. She actually finished 3rd. Rachel Garcia, Odyssey Alexander had their moments this past season, but, they were provided some nice support for your roster. Megan Faramo for me actually was my highest point getter, finished on strong the last few weeks of the season, was a captain in week number 4 that gave me like the faintest of faint hopes. Alyssa Denham wrapping up her pro career with another strong performance. Bubba Nichols, I highlighted her, all defensive team. And Wentz Vekas, Jesse Warren. It's one of those things where they had their opportunities, but it proved to be too much Lorenz and Kilfoyle that propelled your team to our matchup. But here's the thing, Eric, and I want to kind of, before we wrap up our show, I beat you in AUX during the summer, thanks to Jocelyn Allo and the aforementioned Jesse Warren, and you beat me in the championship season. So we're 1-1. What do we propose for our rubber match? Because we have to break this tie at some point.
Well, as they like to say, it's to whoever here comes the money. That could play a factor in the rubber matches we're talking about. But also looking ahead to next year, Victor, Athletes Unlimited team format.
Yep, AUSL taking place, and then the championship season will be christened the Champions Cup during the late summer of 2025. More details will come out as the months progress. So this next chapter of Athletes Unlimited on the softball side will start things off with the AUSL with this new format. Your final thought, and I know, Eric, we'll talk about this a little bit more on a future episode. Of course, tomorrow's episode is dedicated to Mandy softball. Who else? But Haley McClaney retiring, Sam Fisher retiring, Sasha Palacios stepping away, and of course we talked about Gwen Zvekis, Alyssa Denham, and Payne St. George. Just your overall thoughts on what those women have meant, not just to Athletes Unlimited, but the sport of softball as a whole.
Well, I would say that one of those things where they've meant a lot to the sport. Haley McClaney maybe one goes down as one of the greatest outfielders of all time. It'd be weird not seeing her play. That will be certainly a signature player. It seems like every other year we have one of these at Athletes Unlimited. Of course, Sam Fisher has always been a great representative of the sport. Gwen Zvekis, I mean, we've had her on many a times, helped kind of put the Athletes Unlimited together. I think she'll still be involved, I'm guessing, behind the scenes without talking to her. I know that'd be my guess. Denham, you've interviewed Denham.
Yes, I did.
Who's had a tremendous success. You've covered her in person and as well. So, I mean, a lot of talent leaving, but the cool thing is, I think this year, you look at the new faces there. Like we mentioned earlier, Kilfoyle. How about Skylar Wallace played very as well as she did? So, and now you're going to get a team league format next year to complement it. I'm very fascinated to see how that will work and bring that team concept. And, you'll hear it in the Amanda Lorenz interview. She's still, even though it's an individual, it's kind of weird, but at the same time, she wants about the team winning. And that was a big factor in her becoming an AU champion. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds starting next year with the new format, Vic, that hopefully you'll be back on the road in Chicago. It felt weird not to have you or CM Punk or AEW involved in Chicago this last week.
Yeah, and despite all of that, major news still broke on that week. With Mike Davenport going to Georgia from North Georgia. Listen to that episode with Eric and I's thoughts on that. But, yeah, Eric, thank you for coming on and actually showing some slice of humility and providing some spoilers for you AEW fans.
I don't know who spoilers or it could be a foreshadowing. Who knows?
Yeah.
What the event, but this was fun. It was fun. Another season of Athletes Unlimited in the books, which means we're getting closer to fall ball. But it was fun, and again, excited for Amanda Lorenz, a teammate of ours at D1 Softball,
yes,
who co-hosted, of course, with Jenna Becerra on the D1 Softball podcast. It was awesome to see her win the championship. It was good to catch up with her earlier today, which you'll hear that interview in about 12 minutes here on the YouTube channel for all you subscribers on the YouTube channel. And then, of course, on the podcast feeds as well. That interview will come out Thursday morning. And thanks to Lexi Kilfoyle's on. We had Morgan Zirkle you got to talk to. Victor was on this show. Savannah Collins has appeared on this show as well. We had, as you mentioned, Bubba Nichols right after she won the Athletes Unlimited EAUX championship. So it's always fun. We'll still cover it. And like I said, we've covered this league in person. We've covered it on remote. We've covered it in a lot of various ways. So hopefully it continues the growth. And it was a lot of fun to do this.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lopez, for taking some time out of your very busy schedule. Now, you do what Amanda Lorenz is, I'm sure, is going to be doing. Get some rest because both of y'all have earned it.
All I got to say is the champ is signing off.
And his challenger and his adversary will be signing off as well. So that's going to wrap up Athlete AU Tuesday, even though it's on a Wednesday. Still same concept. Thank each and every one of you for watching us. No matter how long you watched us or how many episodes you watched us, we greatly appreciate it. We're going to continue to improve and get this thing better and better. Make sure you keep supporting Athletes Unlimited, auprosports.com. I'll get you updates, all the articles. They give now some more recent signings for basketball and volleyball, so check those out. Of course, coming up, top of the hour, debut interview, Eric Lopez with champion Amanda Lorenz on our YouTube channel, and you can listen to the interview tomorrow morning on the latest episode of Inner Circle on D1 Softball. So for Eric Lopez and for Amanda Lorenz, I'm Victor Anderson. This has been AU Tuesday on Wednesday, exclusively on the Inner Circle YouTube channel. Top podcaster out. Good night, Canada. And congrats, Mandy.